Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Nadi Digital Economy Malaysia. With me is my colleague Dzof Azmi, and we're going to give you some thoughts and some opinions and some context. And I hope each of them doesn't mean the same thing around some of the more interesting stories we found in Malaysia's digital economy. And remember, they don't always have to be stories that DNA is written about. Others would have covered also various interesting stories, but we want to comment on those stories then, right? But we're going to start with a commentary that two investors co-wrote. This is Aaron Sarma and Jeffrey Seah. Aaron Sarma is a VC from Malaysia. Jeffrey Seah is a VC based out of Singapore with Quest Ventures. And they were both actually talking about how Malaysia's startup world is relatively untapped, right? And they say it's also underrated and even unknown. Actually not unknown, but there are unknown unicorns in the making, which is kind of interesting because if we have time at the very end, we're going to just quickly mention a unicorn that has further unicornized itself. Okay, but now
the single horn has grown longer.
Exactly, their horns have grown longer, right? Not their horn, so the horn, because the unicorn only has one horn. Anyway, so really, Aaron and Jeffrey were talking about how a lot of Malaysian founders have really demonstrated their resourcefulness in leveraging on corporate partnerships, beyond proof of concept, projects. And they've also got good government support, right, to grow their businesses and ecosystem. And it seems that some of them, a fair number of them are now approaching where you can start seeing some liquidity events for them, which means just IPOs, or, you start seeing them accelerate their sales, right? And maybe even have trade sale, which is also for the founders and the investors a liquidity event. And they said that our startups also, they feel have got access to a diverse pool of skilled talent. And this has been, of course, the result of the likes of MDEC, Magic, Cradle, right, MTDC, all these agencies, working together to build our talent pool. And of course, coincidentally, we've got a story later on, shortly after this, where we're going to talk about how a global, education agency did a report, and Malaysia was ranked somewhere in the world. I'll just tell you, in the top 50, just hold on to that thought and see how high up we were, top 50, right? But beyond that, so they were actually saying that in the eyes of many investors, Malaysia's ecosystem is like a diamond in the rough, right? Chock full of ideas, of entrepreneurs waiting for the right time and the right stimulus to be the birthright of 1,000 successful startups, which is kind of interesting. So the key point is that you need to now take advantage of the time and accelerate your intervention so that you accelerate your intervention, you accelerate the growth of these companies also. So this is what Aaron is saying, and this is what also Jeffrey is saying. And the proof of that also, you can see, I think when Scaleup Malaysia, which which Aaron is one of the partners, they announced their cohort 3 for the first time ever. Or they had a new VC coming besides Scaleup, which is already a partner with them for cohort 2, now cohort 3. This American VC called Indelible Ventures has become their partner also for cohort 3. When you become a partner for Scaleup Malaysia in their cohort, it means that when they put in their 250,000 ringgit investment for the 10 scale-up, for the 10 technology companies they're going to pick, Indelible Ventures has already put in money into the pool, right, to be part of that investment. So they want to have, and they want to get into these companies at that early stage. But Indelible, and I think we mentioned it before, wow, wow. So you would think I was talking about my story about Surina, right? But no, they're just talking about our ecosystem. And I think that bolt of thunder, just shows that even the gods of entrepreneurship and the scale-up gods believe that Malaysia has got all the pieces in place. And anyway, I was going to say that Indelible Ventures is the first time an American VC has created a fund specifically targeting startups in Malaysia. But this is, by the way, business-to-business startups, okay? So very interesting play there. So this is just another small example of where the entrepreneurs and investors out there are seeing that, hey, this diamond in the rough, is really about to maybe start shining. I want to play a process to sharpen those diamonds and enjoy the upside. So it's a very good story, very long story, but you can go and read it. But the key takeaway is that our ecosystem has got all the components ready and poised to really fly They just need that extra intervention. And here the intervention is talking about maybe further government help to jumpstart it, right? To not jumpstart, to accelerate it. And VCs from around region making the step from just saying, yeah, I think Malaysia is interesting, I'll think about it, to following indelible ventures and doing it now and pumping in money into the ecosystem. So Dzof, you have any thoughts on this before we move on?
Yeah, I mean, just to say that one of the points made in the article is that Malaysia has the highest return of investment to return ratio in the region, and twice that of what Singapore, right? Which means our startups are leaner and hungrier, as it were, right?
Yeah, and also,
but the other thing,
getting a higher, returns for the investment. Singapore
that's right.
Double, Indonesia X10, right? 10x, correct?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. 10 times what's in Indonesia. And the other thing that caught my attention was this description of Malaysian entrepreneurs as being timid and lacking boldness, right, in their ambitions, saying that, no, they should look beyond Malaysia, right? They should think about going global, which for all the entrepreneurs we know, I would say none of them we would describe as being timid, right? But clearly in the context of ambition, this is what he's talking about.
And not just that, when you're putting yourself in front of investors also, they find Malaysians hold themselves back in terms of the scale of ambition. And that's true, I hear that all the time. And sometimes overseas investors will also say, I like what you're saying, I like what you're doing, but what you're asking for is too small an amount for me to commit an investment to. So these guys are again re-emphasizing that point. And by the way, when they say there's a lot of diamonds in the rough waiting to come out, we just ran a story on this human, HR company, right, doing digital HR called Troopers, the word Troopers Malaysia. And I have not heard of them or their founder, Joshua, and his co-founder at all in these last 4 years. And all of a sudden, we get a press release saying that they've raised, 4 million ringgit, right? And I was amazed and I loved it. We had Joshua on our show yesterday for our Tech Talk Friday. And I'm saying, I love the fact that I didn't know about y'all and y'all managed to raise 4 million ringgit. I hope there are 1,000 more of you like out there. And apparently, according to Jeffrey and Aaron Sarma, there probably are many more companies like that out there. So it's wonderful. And let's now move on to a key agency that will also play that role to accelerate the development of the digital ecosystem, right? And this is the news that MDEC has come out with a press release on the 1st of September to say that, Mahadhir Aziz is its new CEO. And we spoke about it already the week before, where we said that highly likely he will be the next CEO. And Mahadhir has come out to say that, of course, he's grateful, he's honored with the trust placed of him. And, this is 25 years of MDEC. And he wants to, build on the strong foundation that MDEC has already created with his reinvent mission. And he's looking forward to working with the strong and experienced team that MDEC has, built already to deliver our digital economy blueprint, My Digital. I love the fact that he's also supporting My Digital, although My Digital is still sitting under the economic planning unit. But Mahadhir now and MDEC chairman Rais Hussain, they are just big supporters of working together to make My Digital, successful, because then everybody benefits from that. So that's cool. So I know he also mentioned that first on the agenda is to strengthen his role in the national digital economy, policy making, and drive impact. And I think, Dzof, you wanted to mention something about, like him mentioning about some of this, at least the Penjana or the revival program.
Yeah, I mean, because the thing is, you're trying to see where can you maximize the impact that you're making, right? And to a certain degree, I've always felt that one of MDEC's strengths is that it sort of leverages, obviously in Mahadhir's time, it was the PM's vision and agenda, and it's like MDEC made it real, right? So I think during these very hard, very uncertain times, you're probably looking at those lower down the chain who maybe need the opportunity. And we've talked about over and over again that now is the time, now is the opportunity to go digital, now is the opportunity for small, medium companies to go up the chain, as it were. And if MDEC, in my personal opinion, if MDEC can target them adequately and give them the right support, and going back to Aaron's comment earlier about startups in Malaysia being in a good position, there's no reason why you can't see this as an opportunity to go forward. That's my opinion.
We have to go forward fast, man, not even an opportunity to go forward. Okay, let's move on now to this Coursera Global Skills Report. Dzof, what are the key points?
Yeah, so it's actually related to this point about getting startups to move fast, right? Because one of the things you need to do is you need to have the talent, and then for the talent to have the right skills. So Coursera is a company that offers online courses, and they also offer certification. And what they have done is they've issued something called the Coursera Global Skills Report, where they look at people all around the world using their doing their courses, and their conclusion for Malaysia is that, quote, and I quote them, Malaysia learners are relatively more adept at digital skills, but there's still a significant skills gap. And Malaysia is considered competitive at 57% proficiency, ranked 46 globally. But how does this compare against everyone else in Southeast Asia? Singapore is at number 10. Vietnam is at number 20. Indonesia is at 45, one rung higher. And Philippines in 69, Thailand. So you get this thing where we're like middling, not great, rather than anything else. Now, of course, I have to put in the caveat, we need to understand that Coursera is looking at this from their own particular point of view, from the courses that they offer. So there may be some nuance there that we don't know about. But even within their context, right, what I find interesting, so they say that Malaysia has high skill proficiency, 91% they put, for cloud computing, and 79% for data analysis. Yep. And that's great because Malaysia wants to be a cloud computing hub, right? So that's precisely the kind of thing. And the other thing Coursera says is that Malaysians do seem to want to arm themselves for the future. So the thing is that the room for further development is that we are mid-ranking for business, for technology, for data science, for technology. It's like saying Malaysians need to take more initiative, or maybe I think we're looking at individuals upskilling themselves, right? Rather than companies dictating to users.
No, companies can also. A company can give you a 500 ringgit training allowance, and they say you can go do what you want with it, right? End of the year, we want to see what you've done with it, and it can be applied anywhere. But I think I was really hurt by this report, because how can we be ranked so low within the Coursera? Strictly speaking, Coursera upskilling, and you've got micro skilling, curriculum programs you can take also, but it's all around digital technology. How come we are ranked so lowly? So very poor. I think we should always, I mentioned it many times, I think we should be in the top 25 among nations in the world for anything related to technology, digital adoption, and savviness. The good thing is, cloud and like data analytics were very strong, but also there's a big demand. There's a big demand for skill sets around this, around even simple as even app development, right? And I spoke to, just very quickly before I go on to the next one, I spoke to the heads of 2 global tech companies, in Malaysia, and both of them were saying that there's just not enough technical talent, engineering talent also, right, in this country. And the reason is not that we don't have talent, we don't have enough talent, because so many organizations, everybody almost, all these startups you talk about, they're growing, they raise funding only, they go out and want to hire technical people and hire digital marketing people. These are the 2 skills that they always looking for. Cannot find enough, because so many people are looking for them. And there's something else now called, I'm looking at my notes here because I spoke to the head of this, very large company. And he said that the new, he called it the curriculum for new software technology. He used the word new software technology. I said, what do you mean by new software technology? So he said, look, cloud is new software technology, right? AI and advanced automation also, RPA, these are all new software technology. And he actually said that now, he said that software engineering, he said that, I'm just looking for my notes here quickly. He said that in the world of, he said that software is the new taxonomy in all things digital. I like that quote. Software is the new taxonomy for all things digital. So there's just a need for much more deeper expertise in software. So like if previously, maybe 10 years ago, you come out as any of these, skill sets, right? And you got a B average, they say, hey, that's good enough. I think now companies like, especially the top companies, they want you to have that B plus, at least skill set so they can further drive you. Because the demand is there, the deepening of the complexity of various things are getting there. So you need much more higher skills. And even, by the way, quickly, even for Android mobile app development, he says that there are not enough Android mobile app developers in the country. And I was shocked. I said, Android, mobile apps has been around for 10 years. But he said that we have a good pool of people, but he said there's not enough. And now they're working with the agency and with the university to actually come up with a specific, portal and with programs also. It's like a mini Coursera almost, but very niche, right? Very specific, where then all Malaysians around the country can go in and take those courses which are approved by some leading tech companies. Say, if you do these courses upskill, we will look at you and we may want to hire you. So people are intervening also, but there's just so much demand out there that the supply cannot keep up. So with this kind of programs, your industry working with a government agency and creating a digital platform and opening up to the whole country, they're trying to get more people to say anything technical is the future and there are people waiting to hire you. Let's go on to the next article, which is very important, which is being discussed because the news came out, I think, on Thursday. And, we're recording this on a Saturday, which is that Malaysia has lost the rights to host this, one of the premier technology conferences in Asia called RISE, R-I-S-E, RISE Asia. It has, for the last 5 years, it has been held, it wasn't held last year, of course, and it's not going to be held this year, but previously, the previous 4 years before that, 2015 to 2019, it was held in Hong Kong, did very well, tens of thousands, or let's say not, maybe about between 10 to 15 to 20,000 people, between 15 to 20,000 people would come to Hong Kong for the conference. So they wanted to take it out of Hong Kong, and Malaysia was announced in December last year that we had won the rights to host it, over the next 3 years. And what has happened is that they announced, it came out like on Thursday that they're taking back to Hong Kong, and they gave the reason. The organizers for RISE said that because of the pandemic situation, they spoke about low vaccination, and they also talked about the inability to get a venue. So I spoke to people from PCOM and other people who are involved in this, because this was a joint, public-private initiative between PCOM, which is the National ICT Association, MDEC, and some NGOs, right, which are in the technology community space to try to bring this to Malaysia. And what they're saying is that the people in Web Summit is the company that owns RISE Asia. They're being polite. What happened is that because of the political morass in Malaysia, that was the thing that really killed the deal, because we had already agreed on pricing. They initially wanted to charge Dzof about 20 million ringgit a year to host it for 3 years. The government and MDEC and together with PCOM managed to bring it down to like about 11 million ringgit, right, a year. Fantastic deal. But then they just couldn't get over the hump. And one of the key things that RISE Asia wanted, they wanted a premium venue, and a venue that could take like 15 to 18,000 visitors. And that to them, only KLCC fit the scope. Because
I think the word premium is there.
Yeah. But KLCC also, because it's easy for you to use public transport. There was another venue that the Malaysian party was suggesting, but RISE wasn't interested. They say you need to get us that for our event, premium venue. And the government couldn't get KLCC Convention Center because apparently it's booked by something else. And that is just a failure of commitment of leadership there, because probably KLCC, those of you know the convention business, you try to lock in big events a year, 2 years, 3 years in advance, okay? And they probably did have a client locked in, and maybe it was like the Asia Pacific Orthodontist, Society, right? And maybe 10,000.
You're just making this up, Karam, by the way.
I did.
I mean, you better.
There is probably one, but 10,000 dentists, right? And their wives would have come and they do shopping and all. But here, and then they leave, right? But this is a conference for 3 years committed, and the people who are coming are many people in their 20s, right, to early 30s. They're coming and they're investors and they're startup founders, and they want to network and meet with the people that Aaron and Jeffrey talk about, and maybe make collaboration, maybe make investments in the country, right? None of those 10,000 orthodontists would be coming. They say, I will meet a fellow orthodontist from Malaysia and maybe open up a branch in Cebu or Kuching or Labuan, right? or Sandakan, or Kanga, because I think the market's untapped, there would be no further multiplying effect than just the shopping. So it's incredibly disappointing that then, because if this was the government had taken a hold of this, hey guys, sorry, we are bullying you, KLCC, Convention Center, you're going to have to bump whoever out and take this event. And I think RISE expected that to happen. It didn't happen. They were disappointed, and they also couldn't get the date. They wanted to be held in March. The date was very important to them because RISE has got many events around the globe, and they do not want to have two conferences in the same month, because next year in May, which the Malaysian government said, can you hold it in May next year? There's a big conference going on in Canada by them. So they did not want two conferences in the year, in the month, in the same place. We could not get the month, we could not get the venue. They said, guys, it's too big a risk. Although they used the vaccination level, look, the decision actually was made in July 31st. They sent the letter, said that we are pulling it out, we're canceling the agreement. We are going to have it in Hong Kong. But Malaysian party sent them an email in June, early June, to say that we cannot get your venue and we cannot get you your March date. We are suggesting May. And clearly it didn't work for them. But you forget about that. It's really strong political leadership that's needed. And they were saying it's not going on. Yet change in minister, yet change in the minister for Kuala Lumpur, right? And it was, unfortunately, bottom line is the political cost us to lose this. And it's a huge loss. Sorry, Dzof, once more. Everybody I talk to in the tech ecosystem are bitterly disappointed that this has happened, because when you talk about MDEC, MDEC coined the phrase the heart of digital ASEAN, right? You got to back up sexy, catchy phrases like that with money on the table, with action, and here we fail to back it up.
I will say Karam, I know this Malaysian government has in the past managed to move mountains, right, to get things happening. So to say it's not impossible. If a different, how do we put this? A different time, this would have just happened. It would just happen. I don't know how else to say it.
Sure. No. So that we all really need to wait for the next election, where whoever comes in, whether you like them or not, they have 5 years runway, right, to just lead and build the company. Because every government before has been building the economy, growing the company, growing the business and strengthening the business environment. The politics, and the corruption may be there, but things are still moving. Here in the last 2 years, it has just, the Sheraton move has just been a disaster, and this is one impact which is tangible. And we will see you next week, and I'm sure we'll have a lot more spicy news to talk about. I hope not, though.
Okay. All right then.
Okay, sorry, Jeff.